Hi, I'm Ms. Lavodi, and in this video we will be creating our final street art digital portrait using Medibang Paint. In this video we're going to be combining this Adobe Capture portrait with our Adobe Capture patterns that we created and with our original designs from Tayasui Sketches Pro. By the end of this tutorial, you will have combined all of those elements together to create this digital street art inspired portrait. Let's start by opening Medibang Paint so we can set up our workspace. You're going to use a letter size workspace with a height of 10.98 inches and a width of 8.5 inches. We want a vertical orientation because this is for a portrait. So go in and select your preset. If you need to, select the letter size preset and then bring yourself into this screen. We're going to start with a background layer, and you're going to click the plus sign in the layers box to add a new color layer. I am using the gradient tool, which is the shaded in rectangle on the top menu bar. Remember, your gradient tool needs to utilize two colors. I'm dragging out a vertical line, but you can do this in any way you'd like. Now I'm going to add in my portrait to the project by clicking the plus sign in the layers menu and selecting my Adobe Capture portrait to add in. Your portrait should take out a decent amount of space, but you still want negative space behind your portrait, so don't make it too large. Also, you don't need to extract the line art because your portrait is already transparent. Make sure to save your new project and save often. Now we're going to add in our background designs to create a great composition. Before we do that, this is really important. Make your life easier by going back into Tayasui Sketches Pro and resaving your original designs with transparent backgrounds. We initially needed solid backgrounds to turn your artwork into patterns using Adobe Capture, but in order to use those original designs and not have the white background blocking everything, it's helpful to make those backgrounds transparent, and this is a great feature of Tayasui Sketches. The patterns you created in Adobe Capture will be saved as solid images, so this means when we use them in Medibang Paint, we will alter them with a layer blending mode or an opacity change. So I'm taking a quick detour to go back into Tayasui Sketches Pro and find my original designs. So once I back out of Medibang Paint, I'm opening up Tayasui Sketches. I love Tayasui Sketches because it's saving all of your work to your gallery, and you should be able to go right back to the designs you've created already and open them back up. So I'm going to first click my text design, and when I open it up, all that I need to do is click the three dots in the top menu bar and then click the up arrow, and the option will come up to save it with a transparent background, and this image will get saved into your camera roll on your device. So I'm going to repeat this process for any other design that I might want to use in my background and that I would want saved to my device with that transparent background. So what that means is all of the white space that I'm seeing in my designs will not show up as white space when I bring it into Medibang Paint. And this allows me to be able to see my gradient color through my designs, which is excellent because now my designs really just become like brushstrokes. So now I'm going to go back into my Medibang Paint project, and I'm going to click the plus sign in the layers box and add my images. I'm going to select one of my designs first to add into my background. Now what you're going to see happen here is that when I bring it in, this was not the transparent one. So I'm backing out of that, removing that layer. I'm going to try it one more time and select a different picture. And now this is the transparent version. This is what I want. I want to be able to see my gradient through my design. So in this preview screen, I'm just placing it where I'd like it to go. I'm not extracting line art. You want to go back into the top menu bar and select your transform tool in order to move, rotate, and scale your designs. And it's very easy to duplicate this design and use it in multiple places just by clicking the double picture icon in the layers box. And then I click the transform tool again to drag it and move it where I'd like it to go and rotate it. So it's a good idea to create balance and repetition in your composition to utilize your designs in multiple places. I try to use them in at least 2 to 3 spots in my background. So now you can go through and import your next design. So you're just going to pick another one of your choices, and now we're going to let these interact with the text layers that we already have in here. So I'm picking my next design and I'm going to move it in the preview mode, and then again not extract the line art once I find the correct placement for this. If you click extract line art by accident, what you'll notice is your design will just turn into a black design. So don't extract the line art, and then you can go back into the transform tool to move and rotate your design to really place it in the position you want it to be in. Be intentional with where you want your designs to go. So I'm going to duplicate this again using the double picture icon, use the transform tool to move, rotate, and scale it, and place it in a new position. Again, I'd like to use my designs at least 2 to 3 times in my composition. Let's use the features in the layers box to play with transparent effects. Since layers interact with each other using transparency, you can use the opacity slider to make a design more transparent or see-through, or you can use layer blending modes to create fun, transparent effects and alter color of your designs. We want to create a background that has layers, depth, and designs interacting with each other, so it becomes more complex looking. You can tap the word normal in the layers box tool, and this will open up a number of options that you can use to change your layer blending. So if I play with the opacity slider, as you can see here, it makes my design more see-through and it interacts with the background colors. If I click where it says normal, I get a list of blending options. I can tap each of these to see how it affects the design. Each one is different, and you would have to pick the blending mode that you like best. We want to be able to see through to the different layers in our designs to build volume, to build repetition, and to make this design more complex. So once you find a layer blending mode that you like, then you can just keep it on that. And I opted for divide. So now I can exit out of this, and if I want to alter my other design by making it more transparent, I can. Remember, you can go through and use your transform tool at any time to move, change, or alter the size of your designs. So I'm going to repeat this process for the other designs. I don't have to keep using the same exact blending mode, but I want you to play with scale. I want you to play with flipping and rotating your designs and make your background complex and interesting, make it unique. Also, don't worry about where the brush strokes are going through the middle of the portrait. We will be blocking out the portrait later on. I can flip layers by using the 3 dots in the layer box mode to flip and rotate designs as well. Your composition should show balance, movement, and repetition. Let's try to incorporate at least one of the patterns you created in Adobe Capture for added complexity. Plus sign to add in an image and find one of the patterns that you would like to use. Understand that the pattern will be solid, so it will initially appear to block out the rest of your designs. And that's okay. We're going to be moving it under other layers and add a layer blending effect. So you don't have to extract the line art because we want to see your pattern as a colorful layer. I'm dragging my pattern down under all of my other layers so it's kind of in between my gradient and everything else. I made this 50% opacity so it's see-through, and now I'm picking a layer blending mode that I like for my pattern. I don't want my pattern to be too overpowering to the other aspects of my designs, but I just want it to become this kind of sheer layer that allows me to see my other designs too. I'm going to duplicate my pattern layer once I find the blending mode I like, and I'm going to move it with the transform tool to place it where I need it to go so it looks like it fills up the entire screen. Another option would just be to use the transform tool on that layer and stretch out my pattern even larger. Don't forget to save your work. Now we're going to use the soft eraser brush. I like to use this brush because it lets me remove some parts of my design so I can see other parts of the designs better. So if things got too heavy and too complicated looking, you can erase into them. I keep my brush size very large at max capacity at 500 pixels. I click on the layer that I want to remove some of the information from, and then I just lightly tap away at the screen to erase out some parts of the designs. This just lets me see how the designs interact with each other better, and it opens up, like if I want to be able to see some of the lettering, then I can remove some of the other brush strokes that I see. So just be selective about where you want to use the soft eraser brush. You do not need to use it everywhere. You don't want to remove everything you just did, but just be selective about certain spots. Now we're going to add white for a spray paint effect behind the portrait. We're making a new layer, bringing it directly under your portrait layer. This will be creating that Banksy style stencil effect. I'm selecting the airbrush tool and I'm selecting the color white, and I'm making my airbrush settings at 500 pixels. I'm going to start in the center of the portrait and work my way out. It's okay if you have a little overspray of the airbrush coming out of the portrait, that's totally fine. It'll give it like a little bit of a glow almost. And then as I work my way down to the portrait, I'm going to extend my airbrush paint almost to give it a paint to dripping effect. So I'm gonna let the brush tool drag down past the bottom so it feels like somebody hit this with a lot of spray paint. So just dragging that brush down a little bit, creating that drip effect. If you want to change the size of your brush, you could do that too. I switched back to the soft eraser brush to erase into the paint drip to give it a little bit more shape, and I used a smaller brush as well. Once you have your design the way that you like it, you can go in and save this work and export it as a JPEG file to your device. And now you have successfully completed your digital street art inspired portrait. And if you did your portrait of an essential worker and you have social media, then feel free to share this using the hashtag #HonorHeroes, and your work might be featured on Adobe's digital gallery.